Thank you. I am delighted to be here. I thank you all for your interest in so many of these issues. I know you've just listened to quite a long conversation about the issues. I'll try to stay within my 30 minutes out of respect for you and maybe touch on these issues, all the issues that you talked about. You know, I'm going to start about Social Security. It's very distressing to me to have listened to the conversation that was just presented here. Because if you know, it may be that my dad or your mom, they all put into Social Security for years and years. And all those dollars were spent. We all know that they were spent every year, to the point that there is no Social Security trust fund. There is an IOU. It's as if every year you put an IOU and you put your Social Security money into a cookie jar, and then you take it out and you spend it for other things. You spend it for education, you spend it for transportation, you spend it for banking, oversight, all these things, and you put an IOU into the Social Security cookie jar. Now you have a cookie jar full of IOUs. And there's still money coming into Social Security every day. All of us that work put money into Social Security, and there's still a little extra that we don't spend on money that goes out to our parents and to people that have already retired. And we're spending that too on education and health care and other things. And so what is happening though is there's fewer money left over to fill up all the programs that were started with the Social Security surplus. And so today we have money that paid for higher education, paid for Pell Grants. We have money that paid for veterans' needs. We had money that paid for roads and airports and so many other things. And that money was paid for out of Social Security surpluses all these years. Now, that's very annoying, isn't it, to know that all the Social Security you've paid for so far is paid for other things? It's very annoying. But here's the problem. Next year, there's going to be all the money that paid for Pell Grants is now going to be needed to pay Social Security. So even though you say, when John says, if there's enough money in the Social Security Trust Fund, that means IOUs to pay for Social Security until 2040. The problem is there's no money in the Social Security bank. It's got to come out of university funds. It's got to come out of research funds. It's got to come out of the money that's running our transportation system. It's got to come out of our space program and so many other programs. And so yes, if we do nothing else but pay back the Social Security Trust Fund from now until 2040, there is plenty of money in the Social Security system. However, if you're like me, and if you're like John, you're like most Americans, you believe we should keep conducting cancer research. You believe we should keep offering Pell Grants. You believe we should continue spending money for primary and secondary education. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, we got to stop spending more money. I mean, what a recitation tonight of all the new spending. Did it not take your breath away? $3 billion here, $3 billion there, $4 billion here, $6 billion here, all this more money. I mean, when we already are spending the Social Security surplus on programs that we've already passed, and now we're passing more. But you see, you have to tell everybody, there's no worry. Don't you worry about that monster on the other side of this wall. Don't you worry about that money the IOUs and the Social Security, because otherwise you can't justify spending more money. And so I have to tell you that unfortunately Social Security is not solvent. It's completely solvent if we spend no more money on anything else. But none of us think we're going to stop spending money tomorrow. And we need to do something about the Social Security program, and we need a bipartisan resolution. And unfortunately, here is the problem with finding a bipartisan solution. The problem is that seniors are scared. Seniors are scared anytime they think that Social Security is going to change. And so if you start talking about what changes you can make, even if you say every step of the way, Now, of course, we're not going to change anything for today's seniors. It's still easy for politicians to scare those seniors to death, that it's going to hurt them. And that's what has happened. Anytime somebody has had the political courage to talk about a possible change in the system that would provide long-term security and allow us to go on and fund our government. Medicare is a problem. Medicare is already costing us more than what's coming in. But, you know, do any of you think that it's odd that somebody who got in trouble in the last campaign because he says he has a friend that told him that if we just raised Medicare to 4.2%, we could fund all health care for everybody in the whole United States, and that today he presented that option to you, and he said all the way through it. Now, I don't know if this is true. I don't know if that's really true. I don't know if those numbers bear out. But if they do, this would be a solution to Medicare. Well, my goodness, what has he been doing for 2.5 years since we had this debate? I think you'd go check on those numbers, wouldn't you? And guess what? They're not true. They're not true. They will not fund a single-payer system for this entire country in health care. And we all know that in our heart, don't we? If that's all it would cost. And let me tell you, this huge new socialized medicine that John Yarmouth is proposing, he signed on to the most sweeping bill in Congress. It looks like a system that England has. Let me just tell you a few things about England's system. First of all, they cut off all hip replacement and knee replacements in July. They've used up the quota of hip replacements and knee replacements for the year. You can still have cataract surgery over there, or you still could as of the end of August. They do not pay for regular medicines that you get in this country. Numenda, Aricept, my mother's on that. I expect that all the kids in our family will someday be on that. But in England, they don't pay for it. Now you might think, well, I guess then you'd have to go out and buy it yourself. Here's the problem, and this is true with the bill John's authored too. If in England you go outside of the system and get one thing, if you get Numenda and Aricept, if you get the common cancer-fighting drugs that people are taking today for regular cancers that are not covered, if you need a knee replacement or a hip replacement, and by the way, if you're above the body index level, you're overweight, you can't have a knee replacement or hip replacement at any time of the year, if you're in the quota or out of the quota. And so those are the ways they control. But let's say you say, okay, I'm going to go to France, and I'm going to get a knee replacement. I'm going to come to the United States. I'm going to get one. You know what happens? You are out of the National Health Service forever. Forever. You cannot get back in for any treatment. You go bankrupt over there. End-of-life services, no care. If you go out of the service, you get diagnosed today with a sarcoma cancer. You want to take Gleevec or one of the other drugs that we think of commonly here. You don't get it in England. And if you say, oh my gosh, I know that I can extend my life so much longer and with a quality life, I'm going to go to France and get it. You never get back in the National Health Service over in England. And my friends, we're not talking about how do you get cutting-edge brain surgery. We're talking about common things like knee replacements, hip replacements, and things like that. Because how does it work in England? Here's how it works. They need for you, when you get cancer, to die, and die soon. That's how their healthcare system works. And it's not 4% or 8%. It's much more expensive. It's about twice that much. So here are my questions. Why would we add a huge new entitlement to this country when we're already trying to figure out how we're going to wrestle with this huge tidal wave of costs, Social Security and Medicare in the future? Why would we offer something that is less rather than more? I believe we have the most advanced health system in the world. Granted, we don't all live as healthy as we should. We don't walk, we don't exercise, we don't eat as well as we should, we don't do many of the things that would help us be healthier. But our healthcare system is second to none. I'll tell you a story about healthcare too in a single payer system.